and dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
And welcome to Anti-Tyranny News Radio here on UCY.tv. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hope everybody's ready for the new year. What it will bring. There's many rumors, but we have to wait and see what 2015 is going to bring us. One thing we should always do is be prepared. Now, looking back 2014, seems like it's been, well, just pretty much as bad as it's been the last few years. But the violence that we've seen with the riots, you see, it seems like the state, the government is setting up for complete chaos. So it doesn't seem to look good for 2015. 2015 does not seem to be some bright future. I don't know many people that are out there going, 2015 is going to be a great year. Everybody's kind of like, yep, it's a new year. I hope it's better than last. You don't really see that much excitement other than people excited that they're going to get drunk tonight. I've seen a few of those people. But what we really should do is really look at what we can do personally to attempt at least making 2015 the best that we possibly can. And, that goes right back to, being the change you want to see when society decides that, 2015 is going to be different. This is why it's going to be different. We're not going to tolerate violence. We're not going to tolerate theft. And we're not going to tolerate it from individuals or any type of organization or collective. That we will stand on our own 2 feet and respect the rights of individuals. Whether you think it's offensive. Oh, that's just offensive. Well, I'm sure things you do are offensive to others too. Not a good reason to outlaw it. Just because it bugs you or it's offensive is not a reason to tell someone they can't do it. The simple fact that we are individuals and we are different is the essential reason why individual freedom is, the most important thing in our lives. because we all have our own paths, and we have to be able to follow that. Now, there's some things that I'm going to get into later on. I'll get into that, and it boils down to division within what people call the liberty movement. I really don't even know what that means anymore. I think we're to that point where you look at it and you can't really compile exactly what is the liberty movement. I'm going to get into that later, but I do want to cover a couple things. One is from We Are Change. And let me get this up here. And the other one is from Change the Channel. And we'll go ahead and start off with Change the Channel. I'll just play these both back to back. One's 3 minutes long, and the other one I think is a couple or 3 minutes long. Can't remember. But I'm going to play these, and we'll kind of go over this, and I'll open up the phone lines. So here we go.
I'm Change the Channel, and this is my predictions for 2015. The rich will get richer while the poor get poor. This is always the case. The continuation of separation, pitting race against race, divide and conquer people. Religion against religion, man versus woman, no pause for a cause. There'll be more war, more bombings, more murder, more terror, more unconstitutional laws. New viruses, new drugs, but still no cure for the common cold about. There'll be more pollution, higher radiation levels, more deforestation, fracking, floods, and drought. And let's not forget the beginning run-up to the presidential election. It will be more absurd than the last. The left-right paradigm reinforced, the script will be flipped, money flying all over the place. Another blast from the past. Then the people will exclaim, things will get better if their candidate gets elected. There'll be new slogans shouted, more lies promised that society's brain will get more infected. There will also be talk of the end of the world, the apocalypse, stuff hitting the fan. We will continue to be told everything is dandy, but stay vigilant and keep your eye on your neighbor. He might be the Taliban. We'll see more, see some, say some propaganda. Do what we say, we insist you can. And they will continue to battle to enslave our minds, pushing their zombie nation free thinking ban. There'll be more school shootings, false flag scandals, scams in debt. Wasteful spending, higher food prices. They'll demand bailouts and they'll shamelessly accept. Our infrastructure will continue to crumble and more small businesses will continue to close. More people will lose their houses, need government assistance as poverty grows. Family farms will be almost extinct and more ghost towns will appear. The dollar will continue to fall and we will be told that our economy is stuck in low gear. The need for work and help will push more people towards major cities, places you won't be able to have a gun. There will be more complacency and obedience, which is all part of the United Nations Agenda 21. There will also be unexpected things that come out of nowhere and catch you off guard. Natural disasters, the unexpected expenses, the loss of a loved one is always hard. But will everything in 2015 be doom and gloom, you might ask? So I'll reply, no. There'll be random acts of kindness that will bring a tear to your eye. You will feel the love and see the beauty that shows the other side of humanity, the side that's so bright it glows. There will be family, there will be friends, a stranger will touch your heart. There will be groups of people networking information in the search for truth and better ways, just wanting to do their part. You will witness compassion, understanding, feel amazement and intrigue, wondering what and how. You will hear new songs, admire new art, new technologies and inventions that will make you go wow. You will feel the springtime fresh breeze across your skin. It's been a while. Feel the warm sun, hear the birds singing, and those familiar smells that always bring a smile. New insight, epiphanies, clarity, and discoveries await, while new tactics and strategies and resources will invoke you to contemplate. And even though there will be times of darkness, you'll never be alone, for this I know. There's new strength and power on the way in 2015, people, as our numbers will continue to grow. Without any doubt, have a happy New Year's all. I'm Change Your Channel, and I'm out.
We need to set aside everything and just focus on what's right for the people of America, because that's what the government's for, right? For the people. And I guess my question would be, are they for the people?
Despite the evidence, and it'll always be he said, she said, and it's like, wait a minute, just look at the truth here.
They're looking at you as a cog in the wheel, in the machine.
Yeah.
You're being trained, not educated.
It's a wild place. You're talking now. If you're in the United States and you think everything's fair, then you got it fucked up. You need to go to the library and read some books.
It's a war against the American people to rob us of our rights.
I love Barack.
You okay with him lying and spying on everyone illegally?
I don't know.
His expansion of the war on terror, the warless spying.
I don't think that's really topical to what we're doing right now, and I'm not an expert.
Don't get into that. I'm an actor. Okay. I just pretend. Thank you.
No problem.
Man, you need to just get off
the Vice President of the United States of America.
I don't know. Hell, I don't know. Are you serious? Voting? Jim voted?
You can't change things unless you know what they are. How do you fight something if you don't know what you're fighting?
Nice to see you, America. Hey, good to see you. Just a simple question. What did you mean by depopulation should have been the priority of U.S. foreign policy against the third world?
One quick question. What goes on in Bohemian Grove?
No.
Why don't you want to answer what goes on in Bohemian Grove?
Dude, how you guys doing? Are you guys the Bilderberg organizers?
What?
No. Why did you support Al-Qaeda in Syria and Libya?
With the drone program that you presided over, it said that we are killing 50 innocent people for every one terrorist that's killed.
The Bilderberg meeting? How's it going, guys? Enjoying Copenhagen? Can you tell us anything about what's happening inside? Profit from it or no? You can use my handkerchief. You are sweating a lot. How else are people not supposed to assume the worst when there's no communication? I mean, you guys are just really more implicating yourselves than anything else. Shame me. I'm not wanted for mass murder in different countries, unlike you, sir.
Till the police come here.
Why do we have to wait till the police come here?
Because you are doing some things we're not wishing you have to do.
Not the time. I'm sorry. This is not the time.
This is the only time we ever get, so we got to take advantage of it. You know my rights.
Yes, you know.
And you cannot infringe on my rights. You cannot touch my camera, and you cannot touch me. If you touch me, hey man.
Yeah, that's private bit. Thank you.
No, hold on. Repeat it to me.
Hey, you can't do it.
You can't do that, sir. You can't take my camera. Hey.
Hey, don't be on.
Stop it. Hey.
Stand back.
Get off of my camera. Do not put your hands on me. Do not put your hands on me. You have no right to stop me filming.
Back up!
Investigate 9/11. 9/11 was perpetrated by people within our own government.
The truth is available to those who are ambitious enough to try and find it. The fact of the matter is is that too many people are comfortable while living a lie, and we have to accept truth over comfort every single time if we're ever going to be able to move this society.
Look at the people that are running us. How could anybody look up to these people? As I said, anyone who looks up to them is looking down upon themselves.
Good journalists should have an adversarial posture toward the state.
To be honest, I hope you beat the pants off the mainstream media and that they all, go away because they're not doing their job.
It shows that so many people out there, they connect with the content, because you're not going to get the content that I produce or that you produce or other independent YouTubers. You're not going to find that on the mainstream news.
You're more powerful than you could ever imagine. If you stand your ground and be authentic in your voice and say what you believe, they can never shut you up.
We just have to do what every freedom movement of the past has done. Sow the seeds of freedom while resisting the seeds of slavery.
That anything is possible.
4 years ago, you didn't believe it. But now, you're believing it. Well, here it is, 2014.
It's essential that absence of gatekeepers is the most astounding revolution, and it's never occurred before.
Yes. So now we're living in a time when this mass decentralization, of which you have been a key pioneer, by the way, is causing this decentralization of information, peer-to-peer knowledge.
Americans, look at this. Be inspired. Take heed. Take heart. Look at this. Look what's happened in Berlin.
The solution is within you. The answer is here, right now, as we speak, because together, collectively, but most importantly, never forget that together, we are change.
We are change! We are change! We are change! We are change! We are...
This is the We Are Change Super Bowl challenge that I'm regretting doing. Hope you enjoyed the show.
And that last one was 2014 Best of Highlight Reel from We Are Change. And I think there was one thing that came out of that, even though you couldn't see the video, which is actually probably a good thing. You heard the audio from a lot of the protests, and you heard the anger, the violence, the aggression. And moving forward for 2015, we need to be able to stand our ground and defend ourselves. But there is a way of doing it that does not show aggression, but can show strength. We need to find that way. Because the violence, the rioting, even though a lot of it's been kind of staged in a way, manipulated, provocateur, we have to really be able to come together as individuals and work together to bring peace to our communities and to bring true justice. And we have to make the argument for government, law enforcement, kind of one of those, well, that's an invalid argument. We don't need cops. We don't have violence. Which kind of brings me into the story that I got here from benswan.com. The NYPD has effectively stopped working. A few days after the funeral for NYPD officer Rafael Ramos, one of two slain officers whose death has sparked a rift between police and the mayor in the city. Reports are claiming that NYPD have virtually stopped working. According to the New York Post, traffic tickets and minor offenses summons have dropped in the city by about 94% since the funeral. Some officers are saying they feel betrayed by New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and fear for their safety while on the job. The overall arrest rate has dropped by about 66% throughout the city, and officers are only making arrests when they have to. Now, let me kind of go over this. According to New York Post, traffic tickets and minor offenses summons have dropped in the city about 94%. Great. That's not the cops not doing their job. That's the cops not doing the revenue collecting for the city. They're doing that to take money away from the city, to say, well, you're not giving us extra privileges and extra protection over the citizens, the everyday citizen, therefore we're not going to bring the revenue in for you. Then it says here, some officers are saying they feel betrayed by New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and fear for their safety while on the job. Now, them fearing for their safety while on the job, is that due to Bill de Blasio, or does that have to do with a citizenry finally getting to a breaking point with law enforcement? You don't go, oh, something bad happened, I want the law enforcement involved. It's something happened, I have to get the law enforcement involved, otherwise I become a criminal. It's one of those things that it's just, I'm not saying that officers are always bad, but we do have a problem where law enforcement has become kind of that negative thing to the masses. You don't, see a cop jump on the road behind you and go, oh, yay, I feel protected. A lot of people I know, are permitted to carry, so they feel pretty safe how it is. They don't feel safe when a cop gets behind them. If anything, most people feel a little more unsafe when a cop jumps behind them. They're more worried about staring at their speedometer, locking their cruise control in, looking in the rear view mirror, instead of watching the road. So cops actually become a distraction, and then they become, that you have a fear of a threat. That's what you're fearing, is this threat of law enforcement being able to ticket you, which is basically robbing you of money for the city with no victim. You don't feel safe. So maybe that should be something that law enforcement also looks at. You want the masses, everybody but the criminals to like you. You have to be seen as something beneficial for them. Tickets and, minor offense summons and all that, that doesn't make people feel safe. That makes them feel threatened. Let me go down here a little bit. It says the overall arrest rate has dropped by about 66% throughout the city, and officers are only making arrests when they have to. One source told the New York Magazine, "This is not a slowdown for slowdown's sake. Cops are concerned after the reaction from City Hall on the Garner case about de Blasio not backing them. As of right now, according to CBS New York, the slowdown of work is not an intentional or coordinated plan. Rather, the drop in arrests is being attributed to the number of officers who are still grieving after the loss of both Officer Ramos and Lou, as well as the officers being on edge after their shooting deaths." The stoppage comes as de Blasio and Police Commissioner William Bratton are scheduled to hold an emergency summit with the leaders of 5 different police unions in the area. One tweet from the Sergeant's Benevolent Association read, "Before it was deleted, the mayor needs to humble himself as well as change his philosophical views on policing in order to deal with the new protests and manner in which they are handled by the police in the city." And anything, I believe, that comes out of police unions are only there to protect the artificial authority of law enforcement, and to keep that kind of that shield over them where no one tells on each other and we're all cool no matter what the crime is. And we see a lot of times pretty negative things come out of a group willing to do that. So yeah, the police unions are not there for the people, which cops are supposed to be, according to some. But if you really look at it, they're not there for you. And even the Supreme Court basically ruled that. Well, going into 2015, one here from Joe Biggs out of InfoWars, and I'm getting this out of truthseekerdaily.com. It just popped up on my news feed. I was looking at it and listened to it. This one about Facebook. Major news is about to be released from the infamous privacy-stealing company known as Facebook. All users will be asked around January 1st, 2015 to accept the new terms. But just what are these mysterious new terms being bolstered by Facebook? How about the fact that they want to allow third parties like CIA, FBI, NSA, etc. to collect information not only from your Facebook page, but from your computer, your phone, and any other device you access Facebook from? Joe Biggs, InfoWars Reporters, brings us the latest. And let me go ahead and cue this up here.
I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com. Today I got an email from a listener, and from time to time we get tips sent in, and from time to time we actually do stories on them because they're legit, they're really good. And the one that I got today is called, it's about the new forced Facebook policy that will be enforced on January 1st, and it's a really interesting policy. It's a little bit different from what we've seen in the past. You know, ever since the 9/11 attacks, the Patriot Act was put into place, and we've essentially just lost all of our privacy, you know, any kind of privacy we have on our phones. You know, I've done reports where I've shown you on my personal Android, Samsung right here, that it says that the NSA is spying and collecting data. The iPhone as well. They have that in their terms and services as well. And now the issue is, are they going to start saying that the CIA, the FBI, these guys are going to be considered third parties? Because what it does now is it says that third parties will have access to your information. Now what it says is, it says we'll collect information from or about the computers, phones, or other devices where you install or access our services. So say you have Facebook and you download the app on your phone. Now you've given them access to your phone, your contacts, your locations, where you're at, because you have that location button on. It'll let them know your exact location where you're at. Any kind of pictures, whatever you think that you might have that's near and dear and private to you, once you click yes, accept to that Facebook terms and services and conditions, you're now giving them the ability to go through your phone. And on your computer, once you open that device up, or once you open that website up, I should say, and go to Facebook.com, on January 1st is going to say, click yes or no, do you accept these new terms and services? I challenge you to read those and find out what they say, because it says such as the operating system, hardware version, device settings, file and software names, types, battery, signal strength, and device identifiers. So it's going to, when you get on your computer, it's going to say what kind of operating system you're on, what hardware you have, the device settings, file, software names you have, your battery, your signal strength on your phone, device locations, including specific geographic locations through your GPS, your Bluetooth, your Wi-Fi, connection information such as the name of your mobile operator or the ISP, the browser type, language and time zone, mobile phone number, and IP address. This is what Facebook is doing now. This is no longer a place for friends. This is a place for the NSA, the government, to spy on every single thing you do. I mean, this is what I want to challenge everyone. Is Facebook talking to your friends on here? Is it really worth giving up all your privacy? It's really making me question whether or not I should even keep Facebook. I think I might even go in and delete it today. I mean, we shouldn't have to go through something like this just because, Facebook at the beginning, yeah, I like to use it to talk to a lot of my old military buddies, keep in touch with people I don't get to see on a day-to-day basis, see how their kids are doing. But at the end of the day, really, is it worth having all my information that I have on here going out to the NSA, to government agencies, all these different alphabet agencies? Because we know the CIA works with Facebook, Google, all these guys. We're giving away precious information that's personal to us. Something that you might share with someone that you haven't seen in a long time, or a private message that you send to somebody that you think it's just for you. Now that you've used Facebook on your phone, you've given that up to the government to use and to do whatever they want to with. We know that they are arresting people based off habits and things like that. What if you look at something and the next thing you know, you get red flagged and you're on the no-fly list? So really think about it, and it's something I challenge everyone. Is Facebook really important enough for you? Do you feel comfortable giving all that information to people you don't know, these different intelligence agencies back in Washington and Virginia, wherever they're at? Do you feel comfortable doing that? So I challenge you guys here, all the InfoWars people who watch this right now, share this and get this out there, because it says we collect information when you visit or use third-party websites, information about websites and apps you visit. Every time you go and you look at a website now, once you've accepted Facebook, that information, whatever deep, dark secrets you think you might have or things that you look at on the internet, it's out there. So think about that, and I challenge you guys, like I said, to take a look and maybe just, scrap it. I just don't know if it's not even that important. So continue watching our reports. I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com.
So it looks like Facebook is going to be doing the data collecting for the NSA, basically, for the CIA, for the FBI, basically doing the job of NSA, alongside, Google is, basically trying to do the same. They attack people that are not putting out a message that they like. Mainly once you start becoming popular enough, they go, oh, look, you're popular, we don't like your message, therefore we're going to take things away from you. And I've watched it happen multiple times. Unless you're big enough for them to make a profit off of you, they're not going to allow you to continue. Basically, they're limiting how many talking heads can be out there. And they basically have stated that this is kind of their intent. If they consider anything that you talk about to, let's put it this way, I'm trying to paraphrase what they were saying. If you put anything out there that they could consider it might promote violence or violent acts, that they wouldn't want that out there, and they think that stuff should be censored. Well, what usually causes anger and violence in a society? It's when government or the heads of a country or a kingdom or whatever you want to call it, when the society has really just got fed up with it, when they're done, when it's become so tyrannical, so intrusive that they revolt against it. Now, I don't believe in violent actions. I believe in self-defense, but I don't believe in instigating violence. It's one of those things that if they want to consider what you say to be, well, it can entice violence. Well, yes, the truth can entice violence in people that don't have time to, have a correct response to something. When things have built up to a point and it kind of starts collapsing on the little person, they're just, they snap, and you're going to have that problem. And there was a point that if everything came collapsing on me, I probably would have snapped too. But my deep thought into a lot of things, I think, has changed me, or at least has changed the way I approach things, how I handle things, and how I have an outlook on things. I try to look at things how they truly are. I look at the truth, and even when the truth sounds like it's bad, I try to find what positive I can bring out of this, whether it be something positive I see in the situation or the issue, or if it's something positive that we can do to correct these issues. And when I see things like Facebook doing this, if I get this, try and get me to okay and agree to these type of terms, if I do it, it's only because, it's one of those things when you're trying to run a website, when you're trying to start something up like this, when you're doing the radio broadcast, Facebook is a tool, and they realize that, because we're trying to reach new people, we're trying to reach different people, we're trying to spread the message, and it's one of those things when you're trying to reach out like that, you have to go where the people are, and Facebook is declining though, which is probably a good thing. So, if I do this, I'm only going to access Facebook through one computer. And it's one of those things I really am debating on whether to continue with Facebook, but it's one of those tools that I know without it, it can cause issues. But there's other tools out there that people have created, people are looking at creating, and I think that the age of Facebook, the age of Google, the age of these big companies that are not working to really protect the consumer, I think the age of those companies are going to fade out, because people now really truly realize the depth of how far NSA and these Facebook and Google and Twitter and all this is really going. And the peer-to-peer and the encrypted connecting, I think, is going to be the future. And even I'm kind of, like, man, we've gotten so used to things being real easy. You just go on Facebook, click buttons, type in a few things. I think the internet, for people that are seeking privacy, seeking communications, definitely when it comes to, sources, when it comes to, news, whistleblowers, it's all going encrypted. And really the only people that you're going to probably see on the unencrypted type sites that, your privacy isn't kept secret at all is going to be the very unknowledgeable people. And, even with things like Facebook, I see people that I don't really consider them extremely knowledgeable at, freedom or privacy or computers, but they are smart enough to grasp the concept that Facebook's probably not the best place to have an account at. And I've watched people close their accounts at Facebook, they're done with it. One, they don't see it as beneficial for their life, which it really isn't. It's a good way to, get a hold of people you haven't talked to, or, friends that you talk to every once in a while, or family member that's not around. But we still have email. We still have other ways to communicate. A lot of posts anymore. I do have a personal account, which I am going to be closing. The posts that you do see from people, a lot of it's just, stupid. It really is. I don't need to know what you ate for lunch. Same with Twitter. It's one of those things I think it's really unnecessary. Okay. I did have something else here I wanted to queue up. If everything doesn't flip out on me all of a sudden. Everything was running pretty smooth. Okay. Let me find it here. This was one from We Are Change. And he put this out a day or so ago. Forget when I watched it, but one thing, we talk about is the elite. We talk about the elite a lot. Well, how if so many people know about the elite, so many people know about the power structure, how has it not collapsed? How has these generations of families been able to hold power? And we know part of it's through manipulation of government. And honestly, they have control over our money supply. And as long as we're attuned to that, using the Federal Reserve note on everything you do, we're supporting that power structure. The taxes, everything. We're supporting it. But We Are Change put out one, how the elite stay in power. And I thought this was a really, really good take on it. And let's go ahead and cue this up.
What will you do if you're the king of an empire and you rely on the slavery of your people to keep you rich and powerful? But you see your people waking up and starting to show dissent. What would you do if you wanted to stay in power? You would sure hope that they forget about it. You would want to distract them, or even better, turn them against each other, so that they forget about their original cause. The mainstream media, which we all know is in the business of maintaining the status quo, is doing a great job at doing just that. They are reducing this global transformation that's going on this beautiful shift in human consciousness into a petty war between each other. They will continue to create sides for us to choose from. They will keep our minds focused on skin color and uniforms. They will tell us what opinion to have about events and other people. But what they will never do is bring focus back to the message of truth and change that is trying to be born and heard through this social upheaval. Are we listening to it? Are we paying attention? Or are we falling into the trap of being divided and conquered once again? Who are underneath these uniforms? Who are those we call protesters? From up close, one may be wearing a shiny badge that supposedly grants them authority over others, while the other may be holding a sign of rebellion against this said authority. But from a higher perspective, it's all the same. We are all human beings. And the reason why change is needed is meant to uplift not only those walking the streets, but also those wearing the uniforms. So let's talk to each other, not yell at each other. Let's talk to each other, not kill one another. Let's give power to our message, not our egos. Let's remind each other of the beautiful and unifying cause behind all of this. We want a world that honors all life. We want a world that is fair for everyone. We want peace. We all want to stop surviving and start living. We want to be free.
It's time for a new philosophy, folks. One based on, yes, the principles of Jesus, which were love your brother as yourself, because you know what? He is yourself. We are literally all one.
When we finally stop fighting against each other, we will gain enough perspective to see the real issue here. Now, one might say that the issue is the king of the empire, the corporate elite that is enslaving humanity. But even that is thinking too small. What is the life force of this system? Is it the small group of people calling the shots at the top of the pyramid? Or is it the 7 billion strong army of people complying? That is us. That is humanity. We do it because we want to keep our jobs, because we want to survive. But we only have to struggle to survive if we comply with a system that keeps us in isolation and competition. If we instead unite as a people, stop complying with the current structures in place, and support one another, we can not only survive, we can thrive. If we focus on solutions and learn about ways to be self-sufficient, we will no longer need to depend on the so-called owners of this world. If we use our creativity to build a new model that can work for everyone, including the environment, the old system will no longer hold power over us, because we're the boss. We are the ones who either give it power or let it collapse. We blame society, but we are society. Let's ask ourselves, what world do we want to live in? It's our choice, but it's a choice we gotta make together.
And you can find that at We Are Change on YouTube. How the elite stay in power. And this is going to feed into this next article. Now, right off the bat, I want to say there's things that I agree with in this article. They're not facts. They're viewpoints on what's been seen. And there's quite a few that I agree with. One of the people mentioned in the article is Cantwell. Not a big fan of Cantwell, but I'm not going to have any personal beef with the person. He has his, his own viewpoints, his own way of expressing himself, and he's not trying to control someone, and he's not, taking a gun to anybody's head and demanding money for. He's not doing anything that is actually abridging anybody else's rights. So I have no beef with them. Stefan Molyneux. I personally don't like maybe the person Stefan Molyneux, even though I've never met him. There's something about him that I personally kind of dislike, and things I've heard I kind of dislike. But I think on a lot of issues that there's things that he talks about and viewpoints that I agree with and I share. And I've even pointed out things I disagree with him on, and so be it. He's only one person, and he has the right to his viewpoints and his way, and his followers. I don't follow anyone. I listen to everyone, even mainstream. It's one of those things. I'm an info junkie. I want to hear everything that someone has to, say about an issue. I want to look to see, where there's actual facts and what is just something being said. And I like to come to my conclusion. And I also look at the so-called experts and maybe their relationship to whatever the issue might be. So, I listen to a lot of people. I'm fine with it. Everybody has the right to their opinion, has the right to free speech. They have a right. So there's a problem with this article I have, and I'm going to go ahead and just read it, and I'm going to give you my take on this whole thing. And the reason that video and clip you just heard me play relates into this is divide and conquer. And I'm hoping this can be maybe that last example. This is 2014. You're going to wake up tomorrow. It's going to be 2015. If you wake up tomorrow, you might wake up in a couple of days. But we're going into 2015. And we have to stop the divide and conquer. But let me go ahead and get into this article and then talk about it a little bit more after here. And this is from attackthesystem.com. And this was by MK Lords, is who this person goes by. It's a female. And it was titled Libertarian Welfare Queens. And before we get into the article again, one of the things I also disagree with is the welfare queens. Welfare queens. If you look at the definition of welfare, these people are not welfare queens. They're not taking any welfare. They are accepting donations, selling products, and they're doing something to produce something that people are willing to donate or pay for. That's not welfare. That's free market. And this person relates themselves as a free market person, but then we'll call these people welfare queens, I think because of a disagreement with their tactics, their personal views, and things of that nature. But let me get into this. By MK Lords, Libertarian Welfare Queens. Lately, I've been getting tired of the same old scams coming from the same old people in the libertarian movement. Many OG libertarians I've spoken with agree, so I thought I'd compile a list of popular but parasite libertarians. It turns out libertarians and ANCAPs are some of the worst capitalists ever. Despite raging against taxpayer-supported welfare queens, there seems to be quite a lot of libertarians fighting for the ever-depleting capital flowing from the teat that holds the earnings of fellow libertarians. Well, let's go into this. The depleting capital flowing. I think that the capital of libertarians is not short. There's many wealthy libertarians out there. Says here, libertarians employ a variety of tactics to spread their message, but a tactic I must disagree with is begging for money from people in your movement for stunts that are utopian at best and ineffective or dangerous at worst. People asking for money, it's a tactic. No, they're asking for money. A tactic would be a way to manipulate, like, if you donate this much money, tomorrow you're going to wake up and we're going to live in a libertarian world because I'm going to fight for it. Well, that would be more of a tactic because you're kind of, in a way, promising something that you can't deliver, but in a way saying that you're going to fight for it. That doesn't mean that you're really going to be able to deliver on that. That'd be a tactic, or manipulation. These people, I've watched them do things that they accept money, and I'm not defending these people either because the people mentioned in this article, I do have issues with. I don't totally agree with anyone, and there's a lot of things that I see other libertarians do that I disagree with. But they're not abridging another person's right, therefore I see that they are free to do that. It says here, libertarians also have a aversion to critiquing fellow libertarians because of the small scope and influence the philosophy currently has, and because many of them feel it would harm the movement. Well, I don't think that it's a small base. I think that the scope of influence is pretty wide. Any movement worth its salt can stand criticism of its members, and if it can't, then it's not worth being a part of to begin with. I criticize many of these people at times, and I applaud the things I think they do correctly. I see people trying to put themselves in these little small, tight groups, and this is just all divide and conquer, I believe. I've been distancing myself from the label libertarian for some time now because I hate echo chambers and increasingly felt being pulled into one. My news feed has slowly but surely become filled with the same slogans, the same news stories, the same solutions, the same begging, even the same fake names. Criticism is shot down with paranoid accusations of concern, trolling, or even of being a fed. Yawn. Dissidence is not allowed, and any half-assed attempt at activism by a celebritarian is venerated as groundbreaking. Thousands of dollars get thrown at activists who have disappeared. Other thousands with little explanation. Critiques of thought leaders are brushed away with the weak argument, but such and such did so much for liberty in the past as if it matters. Redirecting capital to effective, peaceful, free market solutions would do wonders for human progress, and I support a diversity of tactics approach to solving social problems. That doesn't mean I believe all tactics are equally effective. It's important to ask hard questions of charismatic leaders and press even harder when they evade. Living off the charity of people in your own movement while arguing for capitalism seems oxymoronic, especially when you keep ignoring market response to your work. Hold on. Says here, living off the charity of the people in your own movement. Well, yeah, they're donating for them to keep producing what they're doing. If people didn't like the what the person is putting out, do you think they're just going to donate to them? No. So they're producing something that another person likes and thinks that they should continue it. That is free market. But this person says peaceful free market solutions. Well, when they're doing videos and putting out articles, well, that's peaceful, and that's free market solution when people are willing to donate to that cause. And no, you shouldn't believe in every tactic. No one believes in every tactic. That doesn't mean that you say, well, because I don't believe in their tactic, they should be put down. And we do ask hard questions. And it says here, while arguing for capitalism seems oxymoronic, especially when you keep ignoring market response to your work. They're not ignoring market response to work if they're getting donations for the work that they've done to produce more. That's actually paying attention to your market response to your work. Hey, I put out this work. The market responded by donating to me. So I'm responding by doing more of the same. Okay. So there's another problem with this article. I'm not part of the liberty movement, though people still try to get me to add it to my work description on the Facebook. On the Facebook. Who asked you to add liberty movement to your work description? I don't know anybody that asks people to do that. Do I promote the ideas of liberty? Sure, I've done several podcasts and even a co-host on a libertarian-themed radio show. But it's because I want liberty for myself. Well, yeah, that's what we all want. I have no illusions about achieving freedom for mankind and sacrificing myself for the greater cause of liberty to the point of financial hardship. Meaning, I love liberty and I want liberty for myself, but I'm not going to ever put myself in financial hardship for the cause of liberty. I live my ideology. I'm not someone that just, professes my love for liberty. I live it. Therefore, when I want to keep liberty, I understand that I also have to profess for the liberty of others, even when I disagree with them or disagree with their lifestyle. I still have to demand for their freedom, which this article kind of seems to be going against. Well, actually, not going against, but arguing against. Says here, but it's because I want liberty. Okay, I got there. Newsflash, you can be an activist and have a job. And you can even be an effective full-time activist. I like the idea of free markets, but ultimately I have a individualist anarchist, if you must label it. The religiosity of some libertarians is off-putting. They criticize non-believers for being brainwashed sheep as they parrot the words of their own deities who have unfortunately ranged from the scholarly to the deranged. They also cry a lot about not having the capital of other movements as if it's a mystery where it's going. No, because corporations don't tend to go for the people that are wanting less government. When government is so strong, corporations tend to want to pour their money into the party they think that's actually going to be in charge. Therefore, they'll get their kickbacks from it. Their special privileges. So sorry, but you guys wasted it on libertarian welfare queens. A libertarian welfare queen is a prominent libertarian who lives off the donations of other libertarians but produces content that is factually incorrect, manipulative, embarrassing, threatening, and oftentimes ineffective or counterproductive. They are the leeches who are somehow able to keep raising money despite questionable practices of their activism, and whose serious ethical breaches are ignored or forgiven despite no attempt at restitution. The people named here are not the only ones in libertarianism I consider counterproductive either. But enough bitching. I'm going to name a few libertarians welfare queens because I am so tired of this particular problem robbing well-intentioned people who have jobs of their well-earned money. It's also important to be able to laugh at the strange humans that try to lead you when you're more than capable of leading yourself. I generally like libertarians, but there are a few bad apples, and I want to let others know so they don't support jobless swindlers. Libertarian welfare queenism is a problem, but the solution is simple and voluntary. Okay, before I get into this, I want to point out a few things. Keep using welfare. No, you already admitted that it's not welfare because people are willing to donate for the work that these people did, which is a free market solution. Okay, to the second part, the people mentioned here, one being Stefan Molyneux, another one being Chris Cantwell, another one being Adam Kokesh. I have a problem with all of them. There's issues I have with all of these people. More for some than others. But that doesn't mean I attack them. But let me go ahead and kind of go through this real quick. First up is His Holiness Stefan Molyneux, known as Holy Moly by his detractors. The guy makes his money off speaking old philosophy and bad touching donor brains. I tried to like him, I really did, but he reminded me of my mother. And it goes on to talk about he makes people leave their parents. Okay, whatever. He asks for donations and then gets mad when a kid sends him $1 donation. No, he told the kid, if all you can send is $1, then evidently you need it more than I do, which would be the same thing I say. If you're not able to actually donate something, don't donate. Do not donate. You got things you have to take care of. You have a life you have to take care of. Make sure your bills are paid. Make sure if someone does send me $1, okay, I'm not going to, make a video like Stefan did and say it, but I've said it before. Don't donate if you can't afford it. If you donate $1, whatever. Sure, the processing fee will take most of that, but whatever. Okay, you donate $1, whatever. I just think that he has some issues. There's some news that has come up about him that I definitely dislike, but that doesn't mean that some of what he talks about isn't factually correct. That some of what he talks about isn't a philosophical look at the issue. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but when people donate to him, that's a free market solution. It's people that agree with them, whether you do or not. The next one's Christopher Cantwell. I think that Chris Cantwell, he does kind of, I think he isn't someone that makes libertarianism look good. Personal view. But he has the right to do it. I'm not going to say that, well, he shouldn't do it, because I disagree with the way he does things. He has that right. And that's what it's about, is freedom. Says here, can't do much well other than bloviate on his blog and beg for donations while doing everything in his power to offend people, which would be hilarious if he were funny, but his career is a bad joke. He calls himself a comedian, but I'm pretty sure living in your mother's basement well into your 30s is only funny as a libertarian stereotype, not a reality. I wish I was lying about that last part, but it's entirely true. Since he moved out of his mom's, he likes long walks in downtown Keene, harassing meter maids and bragging about how cool it is to kill cops. He'd be infinitely more interesting if he followed through, but he never will because he's a huge coward. So then you say, you say, oh, he talks about it's cool to kill cops, but then he's a coward because he doesn't. Then what are you talking about? Badly written article, I think. Last on the list is everybody's favorite freedom fighter, Adam Kokesh. And it goes into the money that came up missing when he was locked up. And then it talks about his dad, which many people know his dad was a venture capitalist and wasn't the most legit person at a time in his life. And they even go on to talk about Ron Paul saying, well, most of his stuff's good, but his campaign was a joke. Well, okay, whatever. All these people are able to reach an audience. All these people, when they have spoken about liberty, and when they still speak about liberty, they're very intelligent on understanding what liberty is. These people do things that I disagree with, and I'm sure I probably have done things that other people disagree with. That's the way the cookie crumbles. It's always going to be like that. The main issue, and I'm sure MK Lords is probably well-versed in liberty and has a lot of great things and is probably parroting philosophy that is old, because liberty, the philosophy of liberty is not old. It's just not a well-versed philosophy. It never has been, because people are always been more engaged in what the power structure is right now and how can I gain some of that power back for myself. So liberty is something that you have to be willing to say the system screwed up. That's why people are fighting for authority, basically, because that's a way to gain freedom back that's been taken away. Ends up leading into a thing where, well, it goes beyond gaining your liberty back. Then you have this artificial authority over others, so therefore you're abridging other people's liberty. The main issue I have with this article, and I almost didn't read this article. I almost was going to skip over this whole thing, because the main issue I have with this article is, if you consider yourself an advocate for liberty, what is this going to do? Is this going to make anybody that listens or watches any of those people mention, is that going to allow them to go, hey, I want to go read or listen to MK Lords? I think that person has a great view on philosophy. Or I like some of the things that that person writes or talks about. Or is this going to draw a wall in between you and other libertarians that might be looking at things different? Maybe you could have actually had a positive influence if you think they were getting a negative one from another libertarian. But no, now they go, well, this person's just attacking these other people. When you start attacking. It's not about criticism. I criticize Cantwell. I criticize Kokesh. I criticize Stefan Molyneux. I criticize Alex Jones. I've criticized Ron Paul. I've done all that on this broadcast. But I don't attack them. I don't urge people like this article does, do not stop donating to these people. No. If those people are putting a message out that you believe in and are professing liberty and doing the activism you think is appropriate, that is who you should be donating to. You shouldn't donate to the ones you disagree with. What I see, and the way I practice my ideology is, yes, I disagree with people. There's major issues with some libertarians out there. I have major issues. But what does attacking them? I'd rather have a debate with these people than attack them. And even when I disagree with some of it, I might voice my opinion and be like, well, I think it's okay. Well, that's a viewpoint. You might be right, you might be wrong. I don't know. I'm not, all-seeing. I don't know, what is right. I'm into the philosophy. I like looking at the facts. I like coming to my own conclusion from the facts. But when it comes to completely going the opposite path, I don't know what the correct answer is. I don't know what... I don't believe there is a silver bullet. I think that it's going to be trial and error. I do think that one way is the constitutional route, but I only look at that as a path, not a solution. That's not true liberty. It's a way major step towards liberty than what we're at right now, but it's not true liberty. I think it's a path towards that, but it's not that. When a libertarian starts focusing on other libertarians, starts writing articles about them, I believe that they've lost their path. I don't think M.K. Lords is particularly a bad person, but I think this is useless. I don't think this is going to do anything. People might go, well, I read the M.K. Lords and I don't think I'm going to like those people. But they might go watch videos and go, I like these people. You might hear some of the explanations that some of these people have put out that is not even listed in this article to what's happened, and you might have a different opinion. You might not. You might dislike these people. You might read this article and go, I like M.K. Lords, and then you'll read more and listen to more and be like, oh, I don't like M.K. Lords. We got to stop attacking each other. Divide and Conquer is doing one hell of a job on the liberty movement or libertarianism. And it's always been effective this way because they will constantly divide and conquer. And, John Birch Society, was putting out great content there, even though there's things I disagree with on John Birch Society, and I'm not a personal donator to them. I don't donate to Adam Kokesh. I don't donate to Cantwell. I don't donate to Stefan Molyneux. I rarely donate to people, and that's because I have been really focused on trying to pour my money into my own. Kind of in the same league as them. I'm the one that really kind of needs the donation because this equipment is just killing my pocketbook, and I I accept donations, but I rather people, go through one of my affiliates, go through my Patriot Supply through my website. I don't want you just giving your money. I rather you get something, and even if it is me just getting, 50 cents here, 50 cents there, because you bought a product from one of these companies, it's one of those things where you are benefiting buying something that you would want to buy anyways, but doing it in a way that supports alternative media. And I don't see a problem with people asking for donations. And, I'm always willing to accept donations. I've asked for donations before. I try not to, but I will at times if I'm in that situation where, things are kind of building up and I need a little help to keep it flowing. That's why I'm working really hard to finish getting all the video equipment in. I want to actually be producing things that can really go viral on the internet, things that you can share, and put out things that are really effective and are well produced. So, I've been slowly ordering things, and I've been paying that out of my pocket. I do work a full-time job too. Luckily, I found a job I was able to work 3 days a week, long shifts, but allows me to work on things here. But, one thing I've done, and something I think people preparing for 2015 should look at, I personally have been taking some of my money that normally I'd be spending on my website or equipment, which I've already spent quite a bit of money in the past couple of months on equipment. But one thing I've been doing is taking that money, and right now I've been buying more preparedness items and taking some of my money and transferring it into, things like silver and gold. And the site that I decided to partner with is Amagi Metals, and they have Sons of Liberty. You can buy Sons of Liberty silver in 1/10 of an ounce, 1/4 ounce, and full ounces. They have half ounce coins, full ounce coins. They even got base metal copper, pure copper that, those are great gifts if you want to give someone a gift. They got ones that say freedom on it and other things. They have silver coins with Ron Paul, Rothbard, Mises. They really got some great deals on coins. They do have a prepper, a silver prepper package too. And if you go to anti-tyrannynews.com /metal, that'll take you right to Amagi, and you can go ahead and get you a little bit of silver and gold to hold on to. I think it's something that is essential to have, definitely when the dollar drops in value. And with oil prices artificially down right now, silver and gold's down. So right now is the time to be buying silver and gold before oil prices go back up, before the gas prices go back up. I know many people understand that this is not going to last. And when those go back up, so is your gold and silver. Silver, it's down like $15 an ounce, which means that you can usually pick it up for around $17. Usually a couple bucks over value price is what you can usually pick it up for. So 17, that's actually a pretty good deal right now. And when you see gas start going back up to $3 and $3.50 and $4, you best bet that silver is going to probably go back up to about $25 or up to 30 maybe. So right now, silver and gold, it's down in price. Right now is the time to buy it. And it's always a great help when you help alternative media out. And again, you can do that by going to antityrannynews.com/metal and go check out what they have to offer. You might find a deal that's just too hard to pass up, which there's many. And when you can buy the Sons of Liberty, even a 10th ounce of silver, if you don't have a lot of money to spend on it, even if you buy a couple 10th of ounce pieces of silver and stick away and just keep doing that once a week or once every couple weeks, it'll add up. Another thing is not just currency or things that you can trade for goods, which gold and silver, tens of thousands of years it's been used as currency. So I doubt that's going to change. But being prepared for, whether it be radiation or natural disaster, economic collapse, you have to be prepared. And again, support your alternative media like UCY. If you go to ucy.tv, click on the store tab, the Amazon, I don't know, I think it's UCY Store is what it's up there as. Let me bring it up here. Yes, it's UCY Store. Click on that tab. That takes you to the Amazon store that UCY has set up, and they got a collection of great prepping gear. I mean, they have the setup where you don't have to sit there and go through Amazon and look for every individual thing you might need. They have a great collection there that you can just click on UCY Store at ucy.tv, and you're getting the same great price, and you're supporting alternative media at the same time. These deals are the same deals that you're going to get. You're just in the process helping support the alternative media. And we rely on you and our own pocketbooks. We don't have big, corporate people donating to us or, paying for ad spots. I do 2 hours straight here on UCY, and UCY has given me this platform free of charge, unlike other networks. And, the least I can do is thank them by giving them a little ad spot myself. There's so many different voices here on UCY.tv, and having this unique network that isn't oriented in one direction only. You might have more left-leaning people, more right-leaning people, more central people. It's just a great community of hosts that respect each other, and we're out here trying to get our voices heard and try and profess the idea of freedom and liberty and health and being prepared. There's going to be times that we disagree with each other, but it's a mutual respect that we have for each other. I think that makes UCY such a great network, and one I think that I think a lot of our listeners are great supporters out there. And again, if you need any prepping gear, check out the UCY store. And if you need any currency, antityrannynews.com/metal. Okay, moving on here. We got about a half hour left here. Okay, if this is going to load here. Hopefully. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I think I figured it out that Skype is what really messes my computer up the most. Because I usually don't have any problems till I open up Skype. And I don't exactly have a slow computer either. Okay, this one out of benswan.com. Expert U.S. has leveraged economy on shale oil, which Saudis may be about to crash. And I've already talked about this. I talked about the artificial oil prices, which is allowing the price of silver and gold to be down right now. It's not going to last. And when oil goes back up, everything else is going to go back up. And this is a game I think the Saudis are playing, and I've been talking about this. And this one from Ben Swan is from RT. I'm just going to go ahead and play the clip.
Well, just 5 years ago, almost no one outside the natural gas industry had heard of something called fracking, even though the basic technologies were not new. Well, now a new process called enhanced oil recovery could completely change the oil and gas markets in the U.S. But are the advances in the oil and natural gas industry going to come to a screeching halt thanks to crashing oil prices? I spoke earlier with Marin Katusa, author of the New York Times bestseller, The Colder War, How the Global Energy Trade Slipped from America's Grasp. And I began by asking him what oil-enhanced recovery actually is.
Well, you see, fracking's been around since the 40s. They've done it in Russia. They've had it in the U.S. since the 40s, in Europe, countries like Germany. And really, the technology breakthrough was George Mitchell, which Mitchell Energy eventually got out bought out by Devon. And they took the vertical drilling, they brought in the technology to go horizontal, and now they can frack horizontally. 5-6 years ago, to do an 8-stage multi-frack was science fiction. Now it's just, elementary. So now they're doing 64-stage fracks, and they're bringing in super pads and super fracks. So the technology has been incredibly advanced over the last 4 or 5 years.
It's fascinating to watch that change, and yet right now the fracking boom in the U.S. is starting to slow down thanks to the Saudis flooding the international market with oil. 3 states, Texas, Alaska, and Louisiana, already expecting layoffs and huge budget deficits because of the drop in oil prices. Is the fracking and shale industry going to be delayed or even damaged by these low oil prices?
Well, you see, since 2008, the U.S. domestic shale sector has increased their debt on the corporate levels by $150 billion. So there's a lot, because there's so much cheap money, a big effect of QE was coming into the shale sector because people were chasing yield. So a lot of this cheap money came in, the technology, the exploration came in. So the question is, how's this debt going to be rolled over? So there's going to be a lot of questions here. A lot of the shale doesn't work at $45, $50 oil. So you will see eventually by the end of 2015, some of the production decreases. So if you take someone like Texas, if it was its own country, it'd be the 8th largest producer in the world today. And they've gone from 1 million and change just 5 years ago to over 3.2 million barrels a day. You will start seeing the declines come in and less wells to replace that, but it will take some time.
That number that you threw out a minute ago, about $40, $50 a barrel, starts to really have an impact on shale. Oil prices have been falling. They fell some 47% from $106 a barrel in June down to $55.73 a barrel in December. We're hopefully we'll get Marin back there. The Saudis say they could go as low as $20 a barrel. Do you think that prices will drop that low? And at what point does the U.S. say to the Saudis, you guys are killing us here, figuratively and literally?
Well, I'm a contrarian. When we run our hedge funds, I would love to see oil go down to 20 because the replacement cost would be very difficult to bring on any production, any new production at those prices, even in Saudi Arabia. When I went to Kuwait, still they can claim their marginal costs are $10. I went to Kuwait, and the reality is it still costs the same to drill these wells. Yes, they got shorter paybacks, but $20 is pretty low. I'd be surprised if it went down there. I could easily see oil get down to the 40s, but $20, I'd be pretty surprised.
When we talk about this issue, there are a lot of reports right now that are kind of hitting the newspapers across the country. What's a newspaper, right? Hitting media reports. And one of the things you keep seeing over and over is the kind of the wringing of hands saying this is going to hurt us and jobs will be lost because of this. But at the same time, Aaron, we're talking about hundreds of dollars a month going back into the pockets of everyday Americans who aren't paying those high prices at the gas pump. Hopefully energy costs fall, coupled with that, as well as the costs of air travel. Isn't this a good thing overall to see these prices where they are right now?
Not really, and I wrote about this many months ago when I said the oil's going to drop. Where have all the high-paying jobs been? They're not at Walmart. They're not at McDonald's. They're in the oil industry. If you take all the real high-paying jobs in North Dakota, in Texas, they're in the oil patch. And the reality is, you take the airlines. They hedge their oil costs so they can actually budget themselves. So it'll take some time for these low oil prices to work its way through the system. So yes, at the end of the day, the last person to benefit from it is the retail person in the prices, but the companies hedge themselves. And when's the last time you see all these oil taxes on these airlines? They don't ever take those away. Just like governments, they don't take taxes away. They put more taxes on. So will it help the average American? No, it's actually going to hurt them. And on our website, we talk about all the specific reasons why. But no, it's a bad thing for America, especially the $150 billion of debt on the U.S. shale sector, that at $45, you can't finance that debt.
And what happens to that debt at that point?
That's you think about just the debt on the U.S. shale sector works out to be about 40% of Russia's total debt. So, everyone can talk about Russia's debt. The real question is what's going to happen to the debt in the U.S. sector? There's going to be a lot of defaults. What about the trigger effect, the derivative effects? This spillover could be a domino. It's very, very bad news. This is like the black swan that no one's talking about in the U.S. sector in the economy right now. So there's a lot of risks here in the U.S. Shale sector.
So in terms of Wall Street, in terms of what we saw in 2008 with major economic problems, you're saying that this could actually trigger a similar type of event or even a worse event?
It'll be even bigger. Like what's going on right now in the U.S. shale sector will be bigger than Lehman Brothers. And no one's talking about it because the last thing Obama wants to talk about is that there's problems in the U.S. sector, but they're real. And, what happens to the bankers and the financiers and the hedge funds that have all invested in this because everyone's chasing yield. So to get that yield, they're going after riskier and riskier assets. And no one expected the $45 or $50 oil to come in when things were looking rosy at $100 oil. So there's a lot of questions to be answered here in the U.S. sector.
Well, certainly sounds like a lot of questions, and we're glad that we have your insight here. Marin Katusa, Chief Energy Investment Strategist for Casey Research. Thank you.
So what I've been talking about, we're coming to a situation where there really is the possibility for a major economic domino effect because of this low gas, low oil prices. And this would hit us like the banking thing did, and the housing market, and how the economy collapsed before. We're headed in a direction that we really don't want to be at. That's why I personally am directing a lot of my my finances to more preparation gear, and I urge other people to do so. And when you're doing it, try to do it in ways that help support the alternative media, the people out here, exposing what's really going on out there, and whether it be environmental or political or a combination of all. We're headed somewhere that there has to be a breaking point, and I hope all the listeners out there are preparing themselves for a breaking point. We've seen in the past where generations were just comfortable. Even after a small collapse, we're still comfortable. We're not expecting anything big, and when the big happened, they were left out on the street with nothing. Be prepared. And give me a second here. I have to close this browser out and try to reload it here. hopefully that'll work. And I know some people are like, "Oh no, he put an ad in his own little." Yes, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars I spent on equipment and services and website upkeep and IT. Yeah, I do all this out of my pocket, and I don't mind doing that, but I'm not going to pretend that help isn't needed or appreciated. And I always try to show appreciation to the listeners out there. You guys have always been wonderful, and a lot of feedback that's appreciated. And when you look at the people that are following liberty and freedom type broadcasts, you find them to be very, interested people when it comes to philosophy and liberty. And I do want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. We have Hopper, Jax, JJ, Joe, Jules, Gypsy, Road, Vince, and a few Anons in the chat room. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. And I wish everybody a Happy New Year, and hope this next New Year will bring a lot more enlightenment and maybe a change of direction towards liberty and freedom. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here for probably the next 15 minutes. And is there anything that you want to talk about 2014, anything that you liked or disliked about 2014 that you want to see changed or expanded upon coming in 2015, or any resolutions that you're making for yourself? 718-717-8296. That's 718-717-8296. Feel free to call in. And, the major thing I'm hoping to see 2015 is people within the so-called liberty movement or freedom movement or libertarians or constitution. I hope that we can take a step back and listen, we do have different ideas. We do have different ways of doing our activism. We do have different maybe views on philosophy when it comes to family life or to health or to the environment. And we're allowed to have those. But what we do need to be united on is the philosophy of liberty. And we don't have to confuse that with all the personal things. Because the philosophy of liberty and the coming together of liberty is not to promote or to say that that person's lifestyle is okay. It's coming to say that this false authority that others claim over us as individuals is wrong. That the monopoly on force that government possesses is not right. And that we choose freedom. That doesn't mean that we're going, yeah, that's a great lifestyle over there, and that one other lifestyle is a great type of lifestyle, and I like, no. This is about, we believe people have that right to choose. And there's things that people will do that we will disagree with. But as long as they're not harming others, as long as they're not abridging other people's rights and freedoms, then you only have the right to speak out against it, but not to profess authority over. And I think that's what gets lost a lot of times in the whole discussion. We don't look at it that way anymore. Now, when we go into 2015, we're going to be doing a little bit of talking about politics again, because we're going to have another election cycle coming up soon. And I don't feel any optimism about anybody that is a potential runner. I don't have that, but I always give the opportunity. Hey, listen, if there's people out there voting for Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, or whatever, I hope you are making a good decision. I hope that, you electing this person gets into office and will stop this tyrannical government. I'm not optimistic about it. I don't expect it. And that's how you have to live your life in the tyrannical age that we're in. And we really live in one of the most covert tyrannical ages. And when I say that, I mean that we live in a society where we really do have this false sense of freedom. The illusion of freedom has been so well presented that it makes it really hard for people to see through. The facts do show that we don't live in a free society. We jail more people for victimless crimes than most countries ever would. People, oh yeah, every country's will kill you. Well, no, not really. There a lot of these other countries that you go, oh, they'll chop your hand off. Well, yeah, for theft. There's a victim there. And yes, I think that's cruel and unusual punishment. I don't think that's the best way to handle something like that. But you know what? It could have been worse. You could have broke into someone's house and they feared for their life and they, kill you. Stab you, shoot you, whatever. But they don't have speed limits there. They don't have traffic lights. They go after the crimes where there are victims. But we call our society a free society. We got a society that really is addicted to the TV. And the TV has been basically ran by everybody that has an interest on keeping big government and big business when it comes to corporations. I'm not a big corporate I don't favor corporations. I do believe we live in a society because corporations are so abundant, it makes it almost impossible for others to not become a corporation because, well, the corporation status basically has given a lot of these companies a advantage over maybe a LLC or, just a person being self-employed. I watch people self-employed become a business only because they felt they had to secure their job. There's companies out there that person didn't really want to start that big company. It grew into that, and they're happy that they were able to be that successful. but it came out of a lot of the restrictions. A lot of the people that I grew up around when I was younger were all self-employed people. These were, craftsmen, woodworkers, drywall, roofing. I grew up around a lot of these people. And I watched some of them start companies because, it became a point where if I have to go through all this regulations and licensings and permits and all this stuff, I basically need to start a company. That way I get better tax write-offs. I'm not losing money. They do that, decide to hire a couple people, before you know it becomes a company, and good. They become successful, but it makes it harder for you just to be you and benefit off of your labor. And it really comes down to the power structure keeping their power. And it kind of goes back to that video from We Are Change about, how do elites keep power? Because you want to keep what wealth that you've been able to acquire that hasn't been stolen from you. And, if you don't give them that little bit, then they'll come steal everything from you. It's extortion. Don't pay your protection fee to the government, kind of like the mob. Don't pay your protection dues to the mob. Something might happen to your store, except the government has basically been allowed to run rampant, unlike the mob. Therefore, they don't go, something might happen to your house if you don't pay your voluntary tax. They go, IRS agents will come to your door with guns drawn if you don't pay your taxes, and they'll kick you out of your house, arrest you, and take all your possessions, basically. They don't hide it. They don't sugarcoat it. Okay, I'll have the phone lines open for another 5 minutes. 718-717-8296. 718-717-8296. Feel free to call in if you want to put out your New Year's resolution or mention something from 2014 or going into 2015. 718-717-8296. Another 4 minutes or so, 5 minutes, we'll have the lines open. When I look at the liberty movement and where we are today, where we were in the past, we have lost a lot of steam. And, back to MK Lord's article, maybe they haven't been the best investments into some of the activists. Maybe they were good investments at the time, but just what came out of it wasn't what was expected, and whatnot. We do need to be able to be more effective libertarians. We do need to be more effective activists. And my hope for 2015 is that we stop the divide and conquer. My hope for what I plan to do with the website, with this radio show, with my time, my money, hopefully when you guys are buying silver, gold, or prepping gear, you'll take advantage of the links there and help support alternative media. What I truly want to do is really bring out the libertarian message the way I think many people have been wanting it to come out. And that's actual, production. We don't want this these productions that are just basement productions. I think we want to see time and effort actually taking into producing not only educational but entertaining. And I know a lot of people are real disappointed that, Gray State, we've been waiting, and I hope it comes out. I don't know what's going on with Gray State. I have no idea what is happening there. I've tried to contact him. I've talked to him once. He was going to contact me back. I haven't heard back. So, if you're going to help, me out with this, I don't want you to donate. I do want you to, utilize, the medals link, /medal, or use My Patriot Supply. I want to actually put out some good productions. I want to put out some things before I go, okay, now, if you like what I'm producing, if you like what's coming out, then, if you can, donate. But I don't want to do this pre-donation thing. I'd rather people, buy products that they're wanting to buy, needing to buy, and doing it through links from my website. And that way, you're not, you're just buying something that you want, knowing that it's going to help alternative media out, not just donations. But there'll probably be a time where if I'm pouring a lot of money into this, I might ask for donations. I might try to recoup enough to continue on. I'm not looking to get rich doing this, nor is it really an extremely profitable thing to do. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of money to do this, and I think some of these people that have just a free blog out there that they just go on and rant don't realize if you're trying to create a business for yourself, business does take money. I one day would like to be able to maybe have a company that can put out there and produce for the people instead of these corporations. I want to see more freedom-loving things. I want to see the message of freedom. I want to see history portrayed in reality, not the storytelling to make something look good or make a person look good. I want the bad and the good to be told. Because we really have to understand, even the people that I like, I have to understand where their flaws were. I have to understand where, even though they had this great philosophy, there was things that they didn't do that followed that philosophy. Because we're all flawed, and we do need to realize that. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. The people that are genuine are the people that will keep moving on. And those people will also try to make up for their mistakes. And those are the people I try to support. And I don't think there's any one person that should be a talking head for the message of liberty. I think that we all play our roles. There's people that I reach that others can't reach. That there's people out there that like the way I present the message, that they don't like how other people present the message, and vice versa. There's people that Adam Kokesh reached that really start researching and really going into deep thought about what is freedom, what do I believe freedom is, what do I expect out of freedom, how do I expect to get there, what's my ideology, what am I willing to sacrifice, whatnot. And there's people that, he can reach, I can't. There's people Cantwell probably reach that I can't. But I don't think attacking people in the divide and conquer does anything to progress the freedom movement or liberty movement or whatever you want to call it. I think we need to unite for 2015 and just better our message. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great new year, and I'll catch you Friday. Stay tuned here on UCY.tv.